to go with 10 boards, and Toronto hangs on for a 3-point win. Raps sweep the season series and hand the Mavs just their 7th home loss of the season. Also, as I mentioned, just their 4th win in their last dozen road games. But count Kawhi impressed by the 19-year-old from Slovenia.
What's your opinion of Luka Doncic's game? Pretty good young player.
Yeah, he's great. He's leading this Maverick team tonight. He had 30 and a triple-double. He's playing well. You see that, circus shot he took at the end, he makes it. So, he has everything.
Well, Doncic's averages for the season right now would make him the 3rd to reach those numbers after Oscar Robertson and I believe LeBron James is the other guy. But he is now the youngest player in NBA history with a 30-point triple-double. He plays well beyond his 19 years.
No, very impressive rookie, man. I mean, obviously I heard stories about him, but then watching him play this season, very impressed. He was a guy that may make the All-Star team possibly. Maybe not. The Western Conference is loaded, but can do everything. Can pass, has great size, obviously has great touch, makes his free throws, makes good decisions, and does it all at 19. I remember early on in a Dirk interview saying that Luka was better than he was at 19. I'm like, let me see what this guy looks like. Very impressed by this young fella. Huge, bright future.
It's interesting. You watch him play, and he looks like a guy who's been playing pro ball at a high level for 4 years because that's who he is. So where's the ceiling for Doncic? Where can he improve from here?
I mean, it's hard to see where he's going to improve. He can shoot, he can dribble, he can pass. Maybe on the defensive end, guarding multiple guys at multiple positions. But I just like his mental makeup. It is not easy to come into this league and have the impact that he's having in your first year on a competitive team. Like the Mavericks are hovering around, a playoff spot, and I'm impressed. I didn't know what to expect after hearing great things about him going into the draft, like Boo said, but really impressed, and the coaches are going to have a hard time leaving him off if he doesn't make it in the Western Conference.
Going to be tough. He'll be 20 in about a month, by the way, and to me, the improvement probably comes physically, where he gets in better condition, probably gets a little stronger, maybe a little leaner as well moving forward in the NBA. All right, stick with us. Much more coming up here. 125-111. Impressive win on the road for Utah. They are on the right path right now. They take the home and home. They won 8 of 9 overall. Mitchell becomes the first with 12 straight games of 24 points or more since Karl Malone. Remember him? He was pretty good for the Utah Jazz back in the day. Guys, Donovan Mitchell, a little bit of a slow start like his teammates this season. What's gotten him going here in the new year?
Well, I think a combination of time and understanding how to really be the franchise guy. I think last year in his rookie season, he surprised everyone. I don't think any of us anticipated the impact that he would have on this roster, really becoming the guy that they trusted with the ball in his hands. And then coming back into this season, the entire NBA is ready for Donovan Mitchell.
Correct.
So now the game plan is geared up to slow him down. And I think it took some time for him and for the team to adjust to how can we be successful with Donovan Mitchell running and leading our team, but then balancing it out enough for everybody else to have opportunities. And I think they found a nice sweet spot. Quinn Snyder, to me, is one of the great coaches in our league. I mean, we had a lot of great coaches in the league, but Quinn's doing a great job with his group.
Yeah, well said, Fish. I think last year, like you said, they were a surprise on the season. I think this year Denver might be doing what they expected Utah to do. But Mitchell's a stud, man. He's consistent. He's got an outside jump shot. He kind of reminds me like a D-Wade kind of player. Very fast, very athletic, very explosive. Can make plays
with a three-point shot.
But with a great three-point shot, exactly. Can make plays for his teammates. And then you see them starting to figure it out. Gobert's playing very well. He might make the All-Star team. You see them climbing in the ladder. We were talking about this off air. Utah's now in 7th spot and continue to climb before the All-Star break. So Utah playing very good basketball, which they usually do, and a lot of credit to Quinn Snyder.
Mitchell's averaged 30 a game, 47% from the field, 40 from three-point range over his last 10 games. How about the Clippers? They returned from a 3-1 road trip to find the Kings awaiting them in Los Angeles. We're assisting, guys. We're sharing the basketball. Kids, pay attention. Marcin Gortat to Tobias Harris. How about Harris returning the favor? Little pick and roll action, simple basketball. Easily executed. And then Lou Williams, become an assist machine here over the last couple of games, coming off his first triple-double. To Montrezl Harrell for the layup and one. Williams to Harrell again.
Great finish right there. Great pass right there by Lou Will. Harold goes above the rim. Beautiful.
Harold's really found a home in Los Angeles. Clippers with 21 assists on 25 buckets at the half. Second half, here come the Kings. De'Aaron Fox for three. Fox, how about behind the back?
That's nice.
Then finishing, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Know your Bogdanovi. That's a long two. He had 19. Clippers up by 5 at that point, but they finish it off. Patrick Beverley scooping.
Oh.
And the night belonged to Harold. 11 of 13 from the field. How about that for efficiency as he goes for 25 and 7 rebounds. Clips have now won 3 in a row and improved to 3-0 against Sacramento. Kings were just 8 of 36 from 3. They've lost 8 of 10 away from home. Montrezl Harrell was still making his way in the league when he was traded over to the LA Clippers and had a huge void open up for him when DeAndre Jordan left, and they haven't really missed a beat in that regard.
No, he's maximizing his opportunity there. You can see plays above the rim, plays with a lot of energy. Very, very similar to Fareed, maybe a little taller in size, but does a great job averaging 16 points, 7 rebounds. And what I like, averaging 1.3 blocks a game, doing a good job protecting the paint for those guys, giving them great energy, being very efficient, as you saw again tonight. Can finish with both hands inside. So very, very impressive. He's on a short list as well, maybe with Siakam as well in Toronto as most improved this season.
And a great example of a big athletic guy who's going to make a ton of money in the NBA by doing really basic things, right? Going to the rim, rebounding, dunking on the pick and roll. It's a good formula if you can pull
Great
it off.
formula.
Embrace your role.
Yeah, Clippers had 35 assists in this game.
Impressive for a team that doesn't necessarily have the type of perimeter shooting that you sometimes see, with the great shooting teams in the league. It just speaks to, I think, the identity that this team has embraced with one another. No man is greater than the other. They're sharing the basketball, playing together, utilizing the strengths of each of them. And it's impressive. I think Doc Rivers is doing a wonderful job with this group. And they're going to be an interesting team to watch as the season kind of tightens up. Can Lou Williams continue that fourth quarter scoring that he does so that the Clippers can steal some wins and hang into that Western Conference playoff hunt?
And can the Clippers hang on to what is right now the 8th spot for them and hold off the likes of the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, and everybody else?
LeBron's coming back.
Western Conference. He's coming back sooner rather than later, that's for sure. All right, much more ahead here on Game Time coming up. Clay on the reasons he's hot at the moment and why the DeMarcus Cousins era is off to such a smooth start.
Got a Christmas gift this year, the return to form for one of the Splash Brothers. Klay Thompson's efficiency and percentages had been surging since Christmas Day. He explains why and more in this interview with 3D.
Klay Thompson is one of the greatest shooters this game has ever seen.
Nobody in the history of the game can heat up like this guy can.
Here's Thompson for 3. Oh, he is on fire. Thompson again. Klay Thompson is 10 for 10 from three-point range. An incredible performance.
I want to go back to early in the season. There was so-called some slump you were supposedly in. Shooters shoot. What's so much different now?
I think we're at full strength. I think my game kind of is intertwined with how the team's doing as far as ball movement, flow, pace, all those things. Because when we're playing with great pace and flow, I don't really have to take contested shots. I think my shot quality goes up greatly. And that's what happens when you play with great players. My game just meshes well when we're moving the ball well and we're playing at a high level.
Do you guys get enough credit for being so talented and so unselfish?
I think people have just gotten used to it. I think our style that we have played these last, 5-6 years have got people accustomed to seeing us hit the backdoor cutter, make the extra pass, hit the open man. We might not get enough credit for it, but I know people love to watch it. It's more fun to be a part of, and people are just used to it at this point. They just are used to the Warriors, having a 35 assist night with 10 turnovers and, blowing out the competition, but it's harder than it looks.
Speak about turnovers. Is that one thing now that pretty much half the season is gone, you guys are starting to tighten up a little bit, just taking better care of the ball?
We do this every year. We always start out the year playing a little sloppy, and then Steve always yells at us, brings us back into practice, has us doing passing drills, jump stop, pivot, chest pass. But he always reiterates, the simple leads is spectacular. And he always tells us when we just make that simple play, 4 or 5 possessions from then, we're going to hit a home run. That's when beautiful plays happen, whether it's an alley-oop to KD, Steph 35-foot pull-up in transition, Draymond throwing a couple oops, Andre catching them. That's when those happen.
The boogeyman, Mr. DeMarcus Cousins, is back from an Achilles injury.
Here's Durant with it around the screen by Cousins. Big roll, goes slam. Welcome back to Marcus Cousins.
Seen him in practice for his rehab to get to where he is now, and now he's on the floor. What's so different?
When he was in Sacramento, he kind of had to take the team on his shoulders for them to just be above 500. No offense, but I don't think he's played with this much talent unless it was Team USA. So the floor is open for him, and he is so unselfish as far as setting screens, making the extra pass. He's just really smart, too. If I'm coming off him for DHO, he's going to position himself so the defender has to go around him. Using his big body, coming off screens, him being able to stretch the floor, knock down threes is such an underrated factor for us, and just being a great basketball player, and he will make the right play.
Well, Klay has some of the most red-hot records we've ever seen. Most points in a quarter, most threes in a game, tied for most threes made in a row, 10 in a game, and the 60 points on those 11 dribbles. Real quick, Rip, which one of these impresses you most?
Well, the 10 straight threes. I think for me as a player, it's hard to make 10 threes, but to make your first 10 threes, I think that's very impressive to myself.
GA, when you look at Boogie coming in and adding another weapon to this offense, and the fact that the 86% of their baskets when he's on the floor are assisted. Yeah. And then the Wizards were like, okay, we're going to crowd the three-point line and not give them that. And that didn't work. So why did that not work as an approach against the Warriors to crowd the three-point line?
Well, I do think that has to be a part of your game plan to have success against them. And to your point, it didn't work for the Wizards, or it didn't work really for the Celtics, but it gave them a chance. And it's going to be important. The problem, though, is you're talking about arguably the highest basketball IQ team that you're going to see collectively. And here, they just take advantage. You overplay, taking away the three. I'll just go in and give me a little quick layup. Again, the ball movement, the spacing, the movement without the ball. And what they do a great job of is every aspect of their offense is the option. And they all make the right reads on these plays, and again, understanding weak side there, you're not going to leave Klay and you're not going to leave Steph. So that just creates an easy opportunity for that pick and roll action with Durant and also Boogie Cousins. So they're just, I think that's the thing that people didn't talk enough about when you look at Cousins coming over and also Durant. Those guys just weren't great players. They were high IQ guys. Like, they also have an ability to play without the basketball. They can make all the plays out on the floor. And Boogie doesn't have to Klay's point, he doesn't have to get 25 and 13. If he's getting 17 and 7 for them, that's the equivalent of him getting 25 and 13 on another team because of all the talent they play with. And he becomes another guy that you have to account for defensively. And when you look at the spacing they create, man, they become almost unguardable at times when they're clicking.
Rip, when you look at the Warriors and their adjustments offensively, that's easy to see. But defensively against Boston, they also made some adjustments in that game.
Oh, yeah, people forget how great of a defensive team this team is. I mean, when you look at the numbers, they slipped a little bit from the previous 2 years. But this is a team that really kind of gets at it. And it starts with Klay Thompson and his ball pressure. I think he's one of the best two-way players that we got in the game. And him guarding Kyrie Irving right here. But look at the weak side. You got two guys in the paint. You got Steph Curry and Draymond Green helping, and is willing to give up the shot for Al Horford. Again, you see three guys, all of them, they got their eyes on Kyrie Irving because they know that he's a big part of this team. Now you got a guy like Boogie Cousins that can pretty much be a rim protector for this team, which they've been lacking all season long. Again, put Kyrie in pick and roll, the big stays out, Looney stays there until Livingston can get back. Boogie now has to guard too. Now he does a great job of getting in front of Al Horford, and now when they do that, now they're in transition, and this is where they make teams pay. If this team's allowed to get in transition and get easy baskets, especially like that, they're just too good of a team. They share the ball. They average, close to 30 assists a game. This is a team that's tough to beat, not just because their offensive game, but their defense has also been great too.
Certainly a dynamic ball club. We all know about the Splash Brothers, but now they have the Splash Cousins. I mean, he's shooting 57% from three-point range since coming over. But how has he unlocked this offense in different ways?
Well, the big thing for him is the shot quality. Okay, when you're the focal point of the offense, oftentimes you're going to take a lot of 9-1-1s. You're going to have to create all your own offense. And you see here, offense gets creative for him. I mean, these are not hard shots. And so when you give a great player these kind of looks, he's going to shoot a tremendously high percentage. And I think from his standpoint, it's probably the easiest the game has ever been, other than when he plays on Team USA, because he's basically playing on Team USA right now when you look at the makeup of this Warriors squad.
And Rip, to your point, the point differential since Boogie has been with the Warriors, that's the thing that you're looking at, including their tight game against Boston. That's factored into the equation.
Listen, you got 5 All-NBA guys on the team, and when they're on the floor together, you look, they got 43 assists on their 50 makes. So that's very impressive to me, because anytime you got a superstar type caliber guy, you got 2 former MVPs, a lot of times guys try to take it upon themselves to kind of be the leader on the offensive end. But they know they do it by committee. You heard Klay Thompson's interview. He says, hey, you know what? I got the luxury of playing with great players. And when you're playing with great players, the spacing is great, like GA say. You ain't got to take tough shots. You ain't got to go out there and force the issue, because you know if you swing the ball, your teammate is going to be looking for you to get yourself a wide open basket.
Well, it won't be too long before you can see the Splash Brothers and the Splash Cousins right here on NBA TV. They're on Game Night Monday. Casey Stern, Candace Parker, Steve Smith will call the game between the Warriors and the Pacers. The nightcap will feature the Hawks and the Clippers. Coverage starts at 6:30 with the Auto Trader pregame show. Montrezl Harrell cleaning up the mess. 25 points off the bench for Harrell. He also added 7 rebounds, missed just 2 shots. Here's Patrick Beverley with Christina Pink following the victory.
Pat.
So many positives for the Clippers in that one, but let's focus on the assists. 35 team assists. Lou Will, known as a guy that'll get you a bucket, but he had 10 of those. Really, they were effective as a total unit, being able to make sure everyone gets a touch.
You know, they put a tremendous amount of pressure on you with their ability to execute offensively. You know, they get the rim runs. They can space it with the three-point shooting. They're collectively a good passing basketball team with terrific spacing. And so when you've got that combination and the confidence with which they're playing right now, you know, they're having success. You know, they had a little bit of a struggle there. Obviously, Gallinari's out right now, but they seem to have righted the ship here, having won 3 in a row.
And you say a struggle. When we look at the Kings and the Clippers a month and a half ago, it was like, wow, look at these 2 teams surprising everyone towards the top of the Western Conference standings, and you see where they are now. Not that they're bad, because both teams are still exceeding expectations, but the trading deadline is coming up. If you're the Kings, if you're the Clippers, do you buy or do you sell? What do you say, Rip?
Well, for the Kings, I think you stay put. I mean, you got a great young nucleus here. Like we talked about, I feel like they got in a couple of years, we'll be talking about Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox as one of the best backcourts in the game. And I think they complement each other. You got one guy that dominates the ball in Fox, and then you got Buddy Hield just coming off pin downs and screens and things like that. You got a young Bagley out there still trying to find his way around the league. So if I'm the Kings, I'm staying put. Maybe add a couple veterans for the locker room, you know, so they can understand how to win and win big games. I mean, we've seen it early in the season. Some games they have big leads and they'll give them up and end up losing the game. So I think if you're the Sacramento Kings, you got to stay put with this young team.
And the thing about it is they're not in a scenario where they've got championship aspirations. So in essence, to Rip's point, they're playing with the house's money.
Yeah.
So, like, if this is a team that somehow finds themselves in the postseason, that's a confidence boost that you give this young crew, because ultimately that's the ultimate validation as a player, team-wise, is confidence. If you make the postseason with that young core, like, then they go to another level. And so I want to just see progress if I'm Sacramento. I'm not necessarily looking to change anything in terms of what we're doing, because we're a competitive team with our young core nucleus. I don't want to disrupt that right now. And they seem to be all guys that get it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no issues in their locker room. They don't have any malcontents. They got guys that come to work every day with their hard hat that want to get better. So Sacramento, in essence, they're in the perfect situation. They're ahead of expectations right now. They got a great young core nucleus that they just want to continue to develop, because at some point, Golden State's not going to be Golden State. Now, that may not happen for a couple years, but eventually there's going to have to be a new kid on the block. We see it in the Eastern Conference right now, and you see how many of those teams are taking another step. I think Sacramento is kind of indicative of that, and they are heading in the right direction.
Taking a step back, you mentioned the Clippers and the depth that they have because Danilo Gallinari not playing right now, Montrezl Harrell able to give you 25 off the bench. When you look at the fact that the Clippers can rely on bench guys like Montrezl and like Lou Will, does that make them, you look at them as a team that could make the playoffs out west?
Absolutely. You know, I thought they'd have a chance, but they've exceeded my expectations as well. I mean, in part because of how good Harrell has played for them. Obviously, Lou Williams is a six-man-of-the-year candidate every year. But then you look at how good Tobias and Gallinari have played. The fact now Beverly and Bradley are healthy. Maybe if they can, because remember, they really haven't been very good, that backcourt. So now if you start getting consistency out of those two, this becomes a much scarier team. I think everybody, when you look at that Western Conference, there's Golden State and there's everybody else. And so if you're the Clippers, you're like, we can beat anybody 4 times in a 7-game series.
And they've been doing it by committee. I mean, we're so used to the Los Angeles Clippers, you know, doing it just going through 2 guys, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. So Doc Rivers had to change his offensive schemes. And now you got a lot of guys that played on multiple teams and now actually found a home. And they love playing with each other. And when it showed last year because they came out and played hard every game. They didn't have the talent, but they played hard each and every night. And now they're starting to figure it out. Tobias Harris is coming into his own. Lou Williams has been doing what he's been doing his whole career. But now he's not just a scorer, he's a playmaker. He went out and had 10 assists today, and then you got Harold just came in and just puts his energy, his athletic ability, imprint on the game, and he's been great for them also.
So the Clippers and the Kings, 2 teams out west still fighting for playoff position. Out east, the Cleveland